Hey guys, my name is Earl and welcome to the Fanboy SEO. This is the first time I'm doing a video review for a comic book, and it's a very special episode. It's a very special post because this is the first issue of Marvel's House of X, and this is written by Jonathan Hickman and with art by Pepe Larraz. So they've been hyping this story for quite some time now, or a couple of months already. And the first time that they released a teaser image, which was a full spread of all the X-Men, past and present and future, I was already floored. I wanted to get this book. I would love to read the entirety of it, but and especially since my brand name Tony Hickman. And well, let's start with the let's start looking at this book. Okay, let's analyze. Let's go through the pages one by one, so to speak. And before we proceed, let me just remind you that there are spoilers for this post. So if you haven't read the book, I suggest you do. There are still a couple of stores na nagbebenta, pero the regular ones are completely extinct. So you really have to get either the 1,500 one or probably get the pricier variant covers. Pero it's still worth it. Believe me when I say it's really worth it. So cover here, really interesting. You've got set up for the five main characters for the book. Although there are other mutants who appear in this issue. So we have Cyclops, Marvel Girl, aka Jean Grey. We have Professor X, Charles Xavier, who is still using Phantom X's body. We'll tackle that some other time. We have Magneto back in his white costume and Wolverine. Although in this issue we barely see Jean and Wolverine, pero it's all good. It's all good. Hickman here is at his game, and first words palang, humans of the planet Earth, while you slept, the world changed. I think this was in line with whatever happened in between the end of Matthew Rosenberg's X-Men, Uncanny X-Men run, and this new story. By the way, for House of X and Powers of 10, they will be just a transitional story, and then we'll be getting a new book, a new set of X-Men books, hopefully in the next few months. All right, so typical Hickman who loves to do stuff like this. This is actually what we're looking at is the plant Krakoa, or this is the mutant island Krakoa. So you can see na ang daming mutants who are getting born, and you see Professor X. Medyo may evil vibes lang si Professor X dito sa book na to. I don't know why he hasn't removed his helmet, and his helmet really looks cool. He does resemble the villain called the Maker, which is the evil Reed Richards from the Ultimate Universe, who transitioned here. I think kalaban niya for a while si Invincible. Oh no, sorry, si Infamous Iron Man. So to me, my X-Men is a classic. Medyo messianic yung dating ng cover ng page na to. I like it. So we have Hickman, Pepe Larraz, Marty Gracia is doing the issue 1, the house that Savior built, of course. So we can see the X-Men here. We have Colossus picking up flowers. We have Storm. We have Iceman, and I think that's Iceman. Yeah, oh no, sorry. This is Nightcrawler. He's in the blue area of the moon, and we have Armor in Mars. So we'll get back to why they are doing this later. It's going to be explained. Uh, this is still. Oh no, no. This one in Savage Land is Henry McCoy's Beast. The one in Washington is probably Kitty kasi nandyan si Lockheed. I don't know who this is though. 2 weeks ago, I don't know who's making the plot. I think okay. These are the Stepford Cuckoos. Si Esme. Jerusalem. We cut to the scene. 2 weeks ago, this looked like that, and then 2 weeks later here. So parang ang bilis ng growth ng ng flowers ni Krakoa. And we see the humans getting worried about this. They all have their own agendas. The Chinese would love to work agad because kaching kaching. The Americans, Russians are also here. They've been invited to work with, or they've been invited to meet up with Charles Xavier. So that's the reason why they're all gathered to Jerusalem. And as we progress, makikita natin na the building is now completely changed. Mas maganda, mas medyo wild na yung dating niya. It looks very similar to how Krakoa would look like in other parts of the world. Okay. And of course, who's handling the Jerusalem base? It's none other than Magneto and two of the Stepford Cuckoos. Yep. Okay, so in this page we get a quick examination, or we get a quick rundown kung ano ba yung mga flowers kanina. So for humans, what happens here is that Charles basically told the world na just leave us alone, just recognize us as the next step in evolution. We'll give you three drugs. So the first drug is the drug that will help increase lifespan of people 5 years na. So you're supposed to die 70, you get to live for 75 years. The other one, human drug I, is for helping with the brain, or with the diseases of the minds. Sorry, that's drug M pala. So mental health issues. Yeah, and super drug for human drug I. So basically, whatever diseases they've just cured cancer. They've just cured a lot of diseases with the plant of the flower na nilabas ni Krakoa. For mutants, we have three then, or at least two that they know, and then there's one that probably only Savior and a couple of handful of people know. Gateways are the flowers that they use. That's the flowers na tinatanim nila kanina in the earlier part of the story. And then there's the habitat, which is the actual flowers that they planted. If you've seen the pages a while ago, na they were planting the the flowers in Jerusalem. Those were the flowers that's for habitat. There's also the no place one, which we'll probably see that in the next few issues. Probably House of X number 2 or number 3. I think this is going to be a very important part for the book soon. All right. So Graymalkin habitat in New York, they've reestablished the school there, and it looks really really it's really really forested. Sobrang weird na yung ano nila. If you've seen Wolverine and the X-Men before during Jason Aaron's run, it was crazy in a techie kind of way. This one is crazy in a in a flowery foresty way. And we also see Jean Grey, and she's bringing in new kids, new mutants to the school. Pero it's not the school anymore, or rather, they're not training kids in the actual school anymore. Rather, they use the portals now. You can see Banshee over here, and they're going through the portal, and we also see sino to, si Douglock to, si Doug, from the New Mutants, and with Sage, and they've basically become the monitors for Krakoa. And how Warlock Douglock worked before in the New Mutants run, so he kind of interfaces with Warlock, and they became a very coherent system. Ganon din siya dito. His powers, mutant powers, is language, so he knows how to talk to Krakoa. He can they've managed to speed things up in terms of transportation and talking, communicating to the alien, or to the mutant island, and that's exactly what they do. Interestingly enough, buhay si Warlock. And if you've read the last issue, or the last volume for Uncanny X-Men, he's dead. Pretty much, he's dead. But it looks like Hickman, when Marvel gave Hickman the control, or the rights to, or sorry, it's the control to play around with the X-Men, he pretty much just reset everything. So every dead character from the last book, or the last volume, is back, or I hope they're back, because I haven't seen a lot of characters. Juggernaut's not here. Magic isn't here yet. Let's see. So Jean and this new little kid gets into the new world, and they do a little bit of talking, and then we get to see Wolverine and Professor X. So yeah, the kid joins in the fun. Yun lang. It's pretty much just it's just these couple of pages where we see Jean Grey. So it's she's not really taking the back seat, but it's more like they needed to tell a story without her. So we'll probably see more of her involvement in the next issues again, just like how Wolverine plays in the future. And we also get to see where exactly Krakoa is in the map. So apparently, malapit lang siya sa Philippines. Yeah. See, if you can see in the in the corner here, makikita mo yung map, and that's where Krakoa is, or that's where Charles Xavier put Krakoa and started his new mutant island. Also loved the moments, or loved the mapping here. So we have House of X. Magneto has his own area. There's an arena. There's a reservoir. There's a wild hunt. There's a carousel. We don't know what that is exactly. Maybe except for House of M, because we kind of know how or what that is. So these are probably the mutants who are loyal to Magneto. Let's see in the next few weeks or next few days. Wednesday will be the release of Powers of X, so that's not really much. So what we're looking at here right now are the human beings, or the humans, and they're very scared of what's happening. Waking up one morning and you get a psychic message saying that we're taking over, or we're the dominant species, we got our shit together again, and we're going to make the world a better place. That doesn't sound right for humans. A lot of humans don't like that, so they went on and did their own thing. So they are starting a new project. I think this is called the Orchis project, I think. And one of the characters that has appeared to be working with the humans is obviously Omega Sentinel, which is Karina Shapandar. Um, Real quick backstory here: she was the girlfriend of the second Thunderbird. This was during Chris Claremont's second run around the 2000 era X-Men. She's literally an Omega Sentinel, so she can track mutants, she can hunt them down, she can kill them. She briefly joined the X-Men for a while, but after that she kind of disappeared off the map, and then she resurfaced as sort of a villain for this story. Let's see how she'll work with this. But the interesting part here for the Orchis protocols is that this is a doomsday protocol setup wherein, like, there's a lot of mutants and medyo takot yung tao, and they needed an insurance policy, so to speak. And this is a combination of all. So it's like sword, Hydra, aim, everything like that. It's all there. It's all in that one particular group. And the aim basically is to be ready for whatever the mutants plan for. Kasi for the humans, they think na the mutants will do a lot of damage, will probably cause trouble. So that's what they were trying to avoid, and that's why they reenacted, or that's why they activated the Orchis protocols. But again, the more interesting part about this, and why it's telegraphed as they're the bad guys, is because they have their own master mold, and it's orbiting the sun. And you know what master molds do? They create sentinels. So again, this is an interesting thing for. This is an interesting concept that Hickman is exploring, and I can't wait to see how this is going to pan out in the next issues. All right. So yeah. So going back, we tackled this already, pero it's aim, it's shield, it's strike, it's sword, it's alpha flight, which is previously Captain Marvel's team, hammer, armor, and Hydra. So these are like the bad guys and the good guys. Karima Shapandar is mentioned in this file. And then we go back to Earth, and we see Mystique, Toad, and Sabretooth attacking the damage control facility. And they're actually on a mission to find something, to get something, which they do. Unfortunately, they also run into the Fantastic Four. And it's too bad for Sabretooth because he's really outmatched by Ben Grimm. And if you've read comics before, you know how tough the thing can be. It's really downplayed to such an extent na parang he's lower level than the Hulk. Pero if he wants to, and if it's really needed, he can actually really go to toe with the Hulk. Pero syempre, we all know who's going to win. It's really the Hulk. Damage control. So, uh, what we like or what I like about Hickman's writing is he crams his content or he crams content into his comic books. In this case, it's already mentioned previously that the trio is looking for something, but it's kind of mentioned that they're looking for something, but we don't know what that is. And then this page comes in. It's they're actually looking for Saul's hammer. This one, Saul's anvil, Saul's hammer, the bridge. These are all concepts that has been previously run or previously written by Hickman. If I'm not mistaken, Saul's hammer and Saul's anvil was part of Iron Man's project during Hickman's run in the Avengers. It involves the sun, obviously, pero we'll get to that. Pero just not to confuse you, these the hammer and the anvil is important thing for the mutants, and we'll find out soon enough why. And then we go back, we check back on Magneto, and they're showing the humans that they've already created in the 2 weeks that they've ascended, so to speak. They've already created a language of their own, and it's telepathically grafted into their minds, so they don't have to go through the whole study thing, because it's already in their head. It's really, 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 really cool. And then Magneto also says something about yeah, he's going back about the language, and then they go through the portals. It's showing the people, it's showing the delegates how far they've come in the last 2 weeks, how cool, how awesome their powers are, and how the resources that they can get when they pull together everything and they're not really fighting with each other. They can do a lot of wonders. So they're 1 minute they're in Australia, they're next minute they're in Jerusalem. The next minute we see them in China because we can see Sorn and Thorn. I think that's the name. The two Sorn brothers are back there in Tibet in the Everest, and they're just just casually strolling like nothing's happening. And then we go. This is probably the page below Sorn is probably Atlantis because uh, Jean has connections to Namor. So and probably Emma Frost too has connections with Namor. And Namor is one of the first few mutants in the Marvel history. So he'll definitely gravitate towards the mutants, especially if there's any hint na he's going to be dominant. I don't know how deep House of X will tie into the Avengers story that Aaron is currently writing, because in that book Namor is really pretty much a crazy guy. He's building his army, he's fighting the Avengers. Pero this doesn't show anything like that. So maybe it's going to connect down the line, down the road. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, and just a little more on talks, more on Magneto showing his power. He's doing the flex. Okay, he's doing the flex, and he's showing the delegates why you shouldn't mess with the mutants, and also point of showing what Krakoa can do. Pero ayun nga, man, the point is Magneto is seriously working with Xavier here. To what goal we don't know yet. Going back to New York, remember the flowers that they have, their teleporting flowers, their portal flowers. They've created one so that they'd be able to do a gateway towards or going back to Krakoa, and they kind of left behind Sabretooth. Uh, Too bad for them. So yun nga lang, Sabretooth had to be left behind, and it's thanks to the backup coming from, well, it's Reed Richards and Susan Richards, and he's trapped. Pero good thing here is that Mr. Mutant Kind is back here as well, and he has a new costume. Cyclops is back, and he's working. I don't see any eye injury from what we saw from the end of Uncanny. So it's probably that he got his eyes back, and probably this is again another proof that there was a reset, so to speak. So I'm thinking that when they gave Rosenberg the final notice for the book for the book that he was writing, it was like do whatever you want, even if you can injure, we'll get it back. So it feels like that's what happened. And he also has a new costume which I like, which kind of reminds me of the Racer X costume, but at the same time it's colored blue. So parang first thing I thought, Marvel Legends na naman to. Anyway, so going back, Scott is more, since Scott is a leader in his community. He has, he has respect. He has respect for the Fantastic Four, and the Fantastic Four also respects him. And they were pretty much in this page. He's asking for the Fantastic Four if he could like give Sabretooth back, but that's not going to be the case because Sabretooth stole something. But they're following protocols, they're following the guidelines, and that's an interesting thing moving forward. Before he leaves, also, I'd like to comment that Cyclops actually says that he tells Franklin, or he reminds readers that Franklin Richards, the son of Reed Richards and of Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman, that their son is an Omega level mutant. And Franklin Richards is, if you've read other Hickman books in the past, if you've read Hickman's Fantastic Four run, you'll know that he's a fucking powerful mutant. And they just downplay the mutant part, but he really is a mutant. He's responsible for Heroes Reborn. He's responsible for the FF. He's responsible for a lot of Days of Future Past is also his thing. So even though Franklin rarely shows up with the X-Men books or with the mutant books, you can definitely know that he's going to be tying, or he's going to be gravitating also towards it at some point. Maybe not right now, but knowing Hickman, he's pretty much played with all the characters. And the last line for Cyclo saying, and tell him when he's ready, he has family in Krakoa waiting for him. Alright, so this is a separate video. I'll talk about this someday soon. But we'll go back to Magneto, and he's telling, he's pretty much flexing, and he's asking Esme to tell him what's going to happen, or how the mutants or how the humans plan to deal with the mutants. So China obviously is a go. This is the Russian. I think he's also go. Natalia Volok's from Russia, and I think she's a no. And the U.S. also is no. Walter Repian is representing Strike, and he's also no. And he has a gun, and Magneto quickly just shows him what he can do, and just disassembling the gun out of nowhere. He could have killed him though. You know how Magneto works. He's the guy who would like to kill humans to make an example, to show that he's very serious with what he's saying. And the whole week since last week, since when this book was released, everybody was showing this last line. Everybody was telling us. Everybody was talking about this, and this is really interesting. It says you have new gods now. And wow, how do you end a book that's already interesting by showing the cracks in the armor? I mean, this is Magneto we're talking about, and we never saw. And even if he aligns with I mean, through the years, how many times has Magneto been part of the X-Men, and how many times has he shown that he's willing to bend over backwards? He's willing to do something negative. He's willing to do something that that people won't be happy doing, just to show his cause. And it looks like it's still the same here. And that's pretty much the end. Um, you know, when I read this, I was like, wow. I mean, really, really, really wow. Like, how can you top something off like this? And when Marvel was selling the stuff, selling House of X and Powers of 10, they were telling readers that we're going to change the X-Men, but we've seen that like in the last 4 years. How many times have they said that? And it never really stuck. This time though, it feels legit. It feels like they're really onto something. And I mean, with the pedigree of Hickman, he's done a lot of awesome stuff over the past. He's done a lot of things that changed the Avengers. He's done a lot of things that changed the Fantastic Four. Hopefully, he does the same thing. And one corner left, he needs to do Spider-Man. I don't know. I've always told people who would listen to me that Spider-Man, those are the four corners of the Marvel universe. You have Spider-Man, you have the Fantastic Four, you have the Avengers, and you have the X-Men. Whoever controls all of that controls the entire grid, controls the entire X-Men, and it's going to be the same thing here. He's already dipped his hands sa three of them. So one more. Pero that's maybe in the future. For now though, this is just wow. I'm simply amazed. I'm simply ah man. I need to read this again. Anyway, thank you for watching. I do hope you subscribe. My channel is the Fanboy SEO on YouTube. I also have a page. It's the Fanboy SEO. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram. But if I kind of like this format now. Tell me if you like this format of just reading and discussing things on the screen, because I find this very easy to do, and rather than shoot a video and me talking, let's just talk. Let me just rant for a couple of minutes. So yeah, review so far. Again, if you have the book, if you haven't gotten the book, I suggest you find one. It's really hard to find now, pero it's worth the trouble. If I would be giving the book a score, it's probably 10 out of 10. Pero again, there's a lot of times in the X-Men books that they did this, like the first issue is really really good and then it dips. Pero in Hickman we trust. I mean, Remender's not coming back to the X-Men book yet, but in Hickman we trust. So with that, thank you for watching. I really hope you subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications, and I will see you soon. Thank you. Goodbye.